Gorgeous day here in Seattle as we are getting set for game 2 of this 3-game series. Mariners and the Houston Astros turn back the clock night. If you couldn't tell already, we are going back to the year it all began, 1977. Fans encouraged to dress the part here tonight as well. Turn back the clock uniforms, and it looks like Guillermo Heredia, Ben Gamble already into the mic.
Having a great time in the dugout before the game. I love the uniforms.
Oh, those are fantastic. We're watching you, Guillermo. Happy to have you with us here tonight inside Safeco Field. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Blowers, our entire Root Sports crew on a perfect night for baseball here in Seattle. The Mariners coming off a monstrous win last night against the Astros. First place team in the American League West. As we take a look now at the lineup is penciled in by A.J. Hinch.
And for the Astros, first in hitting, first in runs scored, first in doubles, first in home runs. Yes, a very good offensive club. And it starts with George Springer. 21 home runs on the year, 8 leadoff home runs for him. Have to be careful right away the start of this game. Carlos Correa, the cleanup hitter, having a very good year. 302 average, 14 home runs for the talented shortstop. And then Marwin Gonzalez, originally in the lineup at first base. He's a late scratch. Gurriel will take over and play first base, hitting 7th. And a look at the defense for the Mariners. Gerard Dyson will get the start in center field. Taylor Motter in the lineup. Valencia late scratch, so Motter will get the start at first base. Carlos Ruiz will be behind the plate tonight, so Mike Zunino getting the evening off. And for Sam Gaviglio, it's really pitched well for the Mariners. 7 starts for him, a 3-1 record, 3.43 ERA. His fastball, 88 to 90 miles an hour. Slider to the right-handers. He'll use a curveball and a changeup to the lefties. Command type of pitcher.
If you could, you would have played in V-neck uniforms, right, Mike?
I was close to it, I can tell you that.
This is on what is probably the, I don't know, haven't checked the records lately, but it's one of the warmest nights for sure of the season for the Mariners here at home. The polyesters on both sides will play well to the Mariners.
The thing I think about right away looking at both these uniforms is no belt. It's
right,
a drawstring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the guys are going to have to get used to that.
Well, fun times to be had here tonight. Turn back the clock night inside Safeco Field. We've been looking forward to this one for a while. The Tridents for the Mariners, the rainbow uniforms for the Astros.
I have to say, I'm really surprised the way you're able to grow that mustache in overnight. It looks terrific.
When you're a man, Mike. So here is George Springer. We were talking about this earlier, Mike. When I see those rainbow uniforms, I just think back to an old Nolan Ryan Astros baseball card as a kid. I know you have somewhat similar memories to those rainbow uniforms.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I really like the Mariner uniforms too. Me and my family moving out here to the Northwest in '79. A lot of fun. See the uniforms out there.
So here's Sam Gaviglio, his first pitch in the dirt for ball 1, working with Carlos Ruiz tonight. Springer, as Mike was talking about, a serious home run threat this season. 21 of them, 8 of them have led off an inning. And last night, Mike, he hit one out to, let's call it 375.5 feet and nearly got out second pitch.
Yeah, just about towards the end of the bat a little bit. Felix on the mound. Ended up being a long out.
And
right around that
right
area.
there.
Yep.
Felix, a quality start in his return last night. Feeling good today. 3-1.
It's great to see Felix out there last night. Threw the ball well. Fastball at 92 miles an hour. Used all of his off-speed pitches.
I mentioned the 4 walks in Gaviglio's last start. A leadoff walk here to Springer.
I think it was more because of the 8 leadoff home runs and the 21 home runs on the year, because threw him a couple of sliders to start. And even on that last pitch, it was a slider that he walked him on, so he didn't want to give in to him.
Now facing red-hot Josh Reddick, 7 for his last 13 with a home run included. Fouls off the first pitch for strike 1. I think about what the Astros have been able to do this year. They are 25 games over 500. They entered last night having lost only 8 road games all season, and the Mariners taking down A.J. Hinch's club pretty convincing fashion last night with 13 runs.
Well, the offense has really been on a roll. averaging over 6 runs a game over their last 26 games. So it's up and down the lineup too. It's really made a difference for them. Mike Zunino getting hot this month. Again, Dyson has really been swinging it well.
Mark Rippinger is our home plate umpire. Part of the full-time crew back in 2015. Was a call-up umpire dating back to 2010. Now full-timer. Not missing by much. 1-1. Cavillo, 27 years old, a rookie out of Ashland, Oregon. Will face Altuve next.
He is being really careful right now. Mel Stottlemyre Jr. watching. 8 pitches, just 2 strikes for him, missing with a changeup.
Surprised that Springer has attempted only 3 steals. He's been caught all 3 times, Mike.
I am surprised by that. He runs extremely well. Again, a center fielder and a great athlete, but hasn't tried often, and when he has, it hasn't worked out.
The 2-1. Well, when we turn back the clock, it's not just the uniforms. It's all out here inside of Safeco Field. Not many details overlooked, including Mariners vision, which has a little bit of a throwback feel to it tonight, as you can see. 2 colors are enough. Springer taken off as this is fouled away. A.J. Hinch, who has held almost every role that you can imagine in this game. Former Major League catcher. One-time fantastic catcher at Stanford back in his college days. Has been an interim GM, worked in the front office. Springer going again. A check swing to Cavillo. Only plays to first. 1 out, Springer at second base. Well, the Mariners win last night against the Astros snapped Houston's 4-game winning streak. Astros sweeping a road series to begin this trip in Oakland. Jose Altuve, a home run last night in the first inning off of Felix. Mentioned last night the home road splits for Altuve, how extreme they have been this year. They've begun to level out a little bit, but there's still a wide differential. Has been a much better hitter on the road than at home. A.J. Hinch saying that he has become so pull conscious at home because of the Crawford boxes. And when the Tigers were in Houston earlier this year, Miguel Cabrera, a very good friend of Altuve's off the field, and tried to tell him to stop trying to pull the ball so much. And something that is much more tempting for Altuve at home than on the road.
Well, he hit his home run out to left field in last night's ball game. Astros a very good club offensively, including when runners are in scoring position, hitting .284 as a team with runners in scoring position.
One out, Springer at second base. 2 balls and a strike to Altuve.
And another breaking ball. Hitters count trying to pitch backwards to this lineup. Hitters get into hitters counts, and he's going to throw his off-speed pitches. It looks like his slider. Not want to give into him with his fastball.
Right in line of Segura. And Altuve is out number 2. Couple of ground ball outs for good video. Springer the walk, advances to second base on the ground out by Reddick. And steps Carlos Correa, the cleanup hitting shortstop for the Astros. They field out at first base. Correa holds back, ball 1. For Correa, this now his 3rd season in the majors. You take another look at that. 20 home runs in each of his first 2 years. 22 home runs as a 20-year-old. And he won Rookie of the Year back in 2015.
Already 14 of them this year.
Evens up 1-1. Two out. Springer at second base, top of the first inning. Off the plate for ball 2.
And Carlos Ruiz doing the catching tonight, quickly out to the mound. That last fastball well off the plate away. Quick message for him.
Mike getting the night off.
Day game tomorrow. Will probably be right back in there.
We'll be working with Ariel Miranda tomorrow in the series finale. Good video behind. And further now, 3-1. Brian McCann, the catcher, on deck for the Astros.
It is apparent he is not going to give in. That was another slider that was down out of the strike zone, getting him to chase it in a 3-1 count.
Gavidio working around a leadoff walk to Springer. Time called by Ruiz.
20 pitches so far in the inning, 9 strikes for him. I think you have to worry about his pitch count as much. Typically, Scott just wants him to get through the lineup a couple of times, not asking a lot, 5-6 innings out of him.
2 base runners this inning for the Astros, both reaching on ball 4. And extends the inning for McCann. Seager out for a quick word.
I think this is a real test for Sam because of his velocity at 88 to 90. Typically isn't going to be able to challenge hitters. He has to pitch on the edges of the plate and work backwards at times. And this is a lineup that's the best in the American League so far. And he's going to have to pitch that way. So we'll find out if he's able to do it.
Two on, 2 out. The first pitch to McCann. He stares at strike 1.
Good curveball for a strike.
For McCann, his first year with the Astros, coming over from New York with the Braves before that. Time call. Springer at second, Correa at first base. Mike mentioned the pitch count, about 85 pitches for Gaviglio. His last start, 5 innings, just 2 runs against the Tigers. Ahead 1-2.
And you can tell with all the off-speed pitches, the sliders and the curves and the changeups, that when he throws his fastball 88 to 90, it looks like he's throwing harder than what it actually is, and it's because of all the off-speed pitches. It's really slowing these guys down and then trying to pop the fastball in there. That one was right on the corner, the top of the zone.
Strike 3 called. McCann got looking. Astros strand a pair as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Gene Segura hasn't skipped a beat since being activated off the disabled list. Mike, how about the rest of the Mariners lineup?
Mariners moving up on the list. They are 3rd in hitting now and 3rd in runs scored. Really been swinging the bats well. Following Segura, it'll be Ben Gamble, a 15-game hitting streak for him, and Ben hitting .448 over those 15 games. Kyle Seager with his 8th home run last night, also scored 3 runs, and Jarrod Dyson, also a hot hitter, 2 doubles last night, had an RBI, has his average up to .252. A look at the defense. Barisnik will get the start in center field, his first start of the series. George Springer out in right field has not made an error this year, and Brian McCann will do the catching. Well, for McCullers, 13 starts on the year, 6-1 record, a 2.58 ERA, 89 strikeouts, over 23 walks. Again, his fastball at 94 miles an hour. He has one of the best curveballs that the guys are going to see, and he will throw it a lot. Throws his curveball more than he throws his fastball this year.
His first pitch on the way to Segura. He's swinging strike 1.
And again for McCullers, just coming off the disabled list. So about 85 pitches for him tonight.
Missing 3 starts because of a back injury. This is some better timing for the Mariners, you'd have to think, facing McCullers' first time back off the disabled list and facing him anytime in the month of May, where he won the American League Pitcher of the Month. A .99 earned run average, just some pocket change for McCullers the 2nd month of the season.
You look at that month and really pitched well, and it's pretty amazing that he ended up going 5-1, and his 1 loss, he went 7 innings and gave up 1 run.
The definition of a tough luck loss. Again, the 0-2. I talked with Scott Service today about McCullers and that curveball, Mike, and he mentioned the fact that what makes it so tough, the velocity. This is a curveball about 85 miles an hour, and then the late sharp movement as well.
That last one was at 86 miles an hour. And I think from what we've seen from him at times, he will have better command of his curveball than his fastball. Especially with that fastball at 96.
That's not supposed to make sense, is it? That
It's not. No, and especially as hard as he throws that curveball, you would think he would bury it in the dirt more often than not, but that's not the case. He's trying to throw it for strikes. And as often as he has thrown it this year, 46% of the time, he's pretty much letting the hitters know, here it comes. Do what you can with it. Which hasn't been much. Opponents hitting just 200 against his curveball this year.
Segura putting up a fight with 2 strikes.
This could be the 7th pitch coming his way. Something that we're getting used to throughout the lineup for the Mariners. Tough at bats, long at bats. And over their last 26 games, averaging over 6 runs a game.
Oh yeah! Reddick charging in from left field, and he makes the catch. Did not have to angle off very far at all, straight at him.
He was fooled by the swing.
Our Big Fish Casino big catch, Mike.
Took him a little while, hesitated. Well, you can see the diving effort right off the end of the bat of Segura. He makes the catch.
Reddick normally in right field. Tonight getting the start in left. Jake Marisnick, who covers a lot of ground, is in center tonight for A.J. Hinch. Curveball missing for ball 1 to Ben Gamel. This is the first time Gamel has faced McCullers in his career. Trying to lengthen a 15-game hitting streak. The Mariners interested tonight, riding their longest winning streak since last September. They've won 6 in a row. Taking last night's game by scoring 13 runs.
There you go.
Back of a quality start from Felix.
And McCullers feels pretty good tonight. That's fastball at 96 miles an hour. Right at the top of the strike zone.
Two outs. Now we can see where Lance McCullers stacks up in the American League, Mike. This is top 5 in multiple categories.
Yeah, look at that opponent's batting average at 207, slugging just 318 against him, averaging over 10 strikeouts per 9. It really has been special. Good news for the Mariners again. It's going to be around 85 pitches for him.
Robbie looks at ball 1. Well, that last pitch, the finishing pitch to Gamble, that was 87, 88 mile curveball, Mike?
Yes.
I mean, does physics want to weigh in on this? 1 strike to Cano.
Mariners faced him all the way back on April 4th, and he went 6 innings. Again, right at the beginning of the year, so pitch count was at 88, but 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. He had 7 strikeouts in the 6 innings.
For a young pitcher, this is his 7th start against the Mariners. They have seen him a lot, including game 2 of the season. His best start ever against the Mariners, Independence Day last year, 10 punch-outs over 7.
Robbie, one of the few that has done much against him. Robbie 7 for 16, 438 batting average.
One of those hits for extra bases, a double. This time is called. Cano ahead 3-1. Now if Robbie can reach, Nelson Cruz is on deck. Beautiful night from Safeco Field, middle game of the series. Correa ranging off to his right. Now the young shortstop's throw on the money as McCullers retires aside in order. Fans still filing in here to Safeco Field as we make our way to the second. Coors Light Cold Hard Facts on Turn Back the Clock night. What was going on in 1977? Jimmy Carter sworn in as the 39th president, and right after that, snow fell on the palm trees in Miami, which is hard to imagine. Elvis performing his final concert, sadly passing away not long thereafter, and Star Wars premiering. A flashback to 1977.
There it is.
Plenty of Trident sound in full display here tonight. Beltran looks at ball one.
And Sam was able to get out of the first. A couple of walks for him. Had to throw a lot of pitches. 25 pitches through the first inning.
Mariners have the shift on for Beltran. And it splits the left side of the shift as Beltran is aboard with the leadoff single. Well, thanks to Aquafina. Tomorrow, all kids 14 and under will score Mariners wall stickers featuring their favorite players, plus the Mariner Moose. It's the perfect gift to show they're true to the blue. Visit Mariners.com for tickets to tomorrow's 1:10 matchup with the Astros. Leadoff man aboard for Yuri Gurriel. Was not originally in the lineup tonight for the Astros. This could be some problematic news for Houston. Marwin Gonzalez a scratch because of a right oblique injury. Gonzalez playing like an all-star, playing all over the place defensively for Houston. That could be a problem.
We saw that with Mitch Haniger. The amount of time that he missed.
Up the middle. Segura can't put a glove on it. Back-to-back singles. Beltran to second. Gurriel aboard.
Well, the pitch is right in the middle of the plate, but you can see Segura playing him to pull as it goes right back up the middle. Diving effort by Gene, just out of his reach.
Number 8 hitting Alex Bregman, the young third baseman for the Astros, former number 2 overall pick out of LSU. Goes after the first pitch, pops it up. Well, the Astros with a runner in scoring position each of the first 2 innings. As Gaviglio now looks at Jake Marisnick, who looks like maybe Mike Marisnick is kind of really putting all the pieces together this year.
Yeah, turned a corner, batting average at 255, 10 home runs for him. Talked about him over the last couple of years. Really good athlete. Covers a lot of ground in center field, but has struggled at the plate, and this year starting to get things figured out.
Hit a 400-foot 3-run homer Thursday, taking over for George Springer after he had to exit after being hit in the hand by a pitch in Oakland. Two on, 1 out, top of the second. Like you were talking earlier about Gaviglio and the fastball that does not have plus velocity, 88 to 90 miles an hour, working off the breaking pitches. So does that must mean that his breaking pitches, he must rely on the sharpness of those on any given night, and if those are not as sharp, then the fastball does not play up?
I think that he has to locate them a little bit more, a little better than most, and I think again it'll speed his fastball up as far as the way the hitters look at it in their eyes, the way they're operating. And there's another off-speed pitch at 84. But I think you get so in tune as a hitter when you get into certain counts. Your expectation is you're probably going to get a fastball in this count, especially in today's game, because these guys throw so hard. And for Sam, he just cannot give in to him to give him that fastball hit, especially a club like this that can hit the ball out of the ballpark and hit for a high average. He has to be able to throw his breaking ball when he's behind. And most of the time, they'll just take it if you throw it for a strike, because they are still looking for that fastball.
Ruiz keeps it close enough to keep the runners put. Beltran at second, Gurriel at first. 2-2 to Marisnick. For Gaviglio, 6 double play balls turned behind him in 7 starts this year.
A couple of ground balls in the first, both base hits in this inning on the ground. But you look at his numbers overall, he throws his fastball 61% of the time. It's not going to be close to that by the time he gets out of the game today. I think he'll be closer to 50, maybe even below, because he's going to have to use his slider and curveball changeup even more.
Now Segura, Cano on the motor for a double play. Gaviglio gets out of the jam at the top of the second. We go to the home half. Out of the bottom of the second, Mariners and the Astros scoreless. Sam Gaviglio, a very timely double play ball. Get out of the top of the second inning. Nelson Cruz getting set to lead things off for the Mariners. Turn back the clock night here at Safeco Field. Happy you're with us. An eventful night in many ways here from Safeco Field. Nelly 1 for 10 lifetime against McCullers. As you can imagine, right-handers having a hard time against McCullers this year, batting beneath 200 against him.
Turn around, look at the camera. You watching her?
The 0-2. Cruz to be followed by Seager and then Haniger in the home second. And Nelson down on strikes. Second strikeout tonight from McCullers. Like a busy in between innings for us.
Yes.
Boogie Blowers. Now that is nice. I did not see that coming.
That mustache is really something. I can't believe in this heat it hasn't fallen off yet.
Anytime I want it, Mike, I can grow this baby. You just tell me. You want it on a Tuesday? Let me know by Monday. It's yours.
What kind of glue is that, really?
This is insulting. This is very insulting. Working in this kind of environment, especially on a night like this, Mike, I just need your support that you know that this is whenever I want it. It's the glue costs $5, and I'm hoping that I'm hoping that tomorrow you won't be able to tell that there was glue just above
the mustache was $2.
Nothing in 2 to Seager. Shift is on for Kyle. And Seager down swinging. Back-to-back strikeouts. Going to the game, it's a quick and easy trip on the Sounder train, Link Light Rail, and ST Express buses. You can plan your trip at soundtransit.org. McCullers has struck out 3 of the first 6 hitters here tonight, including the first 2 men here in the second.
Well, the good news, we talked about it, he's going to be 80-85 pitches. The bad news is it's been 3 starts since he's had a start, so he's feeling pretty good tonight. His fastball velocity normally 94, tonight is 96, and seeing that curveball at 87 and a lot of bite to it. He feels pretty strong and he's able to throw strikes. 24 pitches, 17 strikes for him. Showed his numbers before, 2.5 ERA overall. He's really pitched well this year, and sometimes you get into those games, just have to find a way to hang in there. Maybe you can put some pressure on him, get his pitch count up.
Reno to Haniger. These two guys taken 3 picks apart in the supplemental round of the draft back in 2012. Ooh, a strike.
And again, with McCullers as well as he's throwing, this could be a big pitch right here. That ball is clearly off the plate away, and instead of having a runner on first, putting him in the stretch, he stays in the windup. We'll see what happens.
Somewhat similar to Verlander in that regard, what we saw not too many nights ago.
You just never know.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, you're going to add to his pitch count, because he's going to have to start over with a new batter. Dyson waiting on deck.
Wow, but it could have basically been ball 4 to extend the inning. Turns out to be a strikeout when it's all said and done. We've played 2 as McCullers strikes out the side in order. On to the top of the 3rd here at Safeco Field. Mariners and the Astros. Sam Gaviglio getting the start tonight for the Mariners. A couple of walks in the first, was able to get out of it with a strikeout, then a very timely double play ball that ended the second.
A couple of walks in the first, a couple of base hits, both of them on the ground in the second inning. As you mentioned, able to get the double play ball to get out of trouble. So far for Houston, they are 0 for 3. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. We've seen that from Sam. He's going to have base runners, but he typically finds a way to pitch out of trouble.
Springer just fights it off into right field. Haniger picks it up there. Leadoff single. It's a giveaway guaranteed to make Dad cooler. Tomorrow is EQC's Second Chance Father's Day, when the first 10,000 dads take home a Mariners backpack cooler just in time for summer. Tomorrow, 1:10 against the Astros. You can stop by Mariners.com to pick up your tickets for the entire family. Leadoff man has reached each of the first 3 innings for Houston. Reddick grounded out softly back to the mound his first time up. These uniforms do not give guys like Reddick nearly enough time to slather some pine tar on their helmet.
He's tried, though.
By the time he even begins to break it in, it'll be long gone. He's trying. Next pitch will be number 40 for Gaviglio as we begin the top of the 3rd. A man aboard. They've been keeping a watchful eye on Springer even his last time at first, and as they call a ball.
Well, they're saying he didn't step off, I think. Just the jump.
Now, seriously,
Angel was talking about his back knee. Yes.
This has to be the hardest part of your job. when there is a balk, to spot it, because there are plenty, to most of us at least, 9 times out of 10 it's, can I see that again?
And then most of the time that right there will not be called. That's why Scott came out of the dugout. And that's why I had to look out there. And Angel Hernandez, who's out at second base, is the one that told him what he ended up doing, which he did. But again, you can get away with it all the time. He just didn't right there.
Not tonight, apparently. Socked out to center. Dyson having a charge back to the wall, and it is gone. Josh Reddick has just been smoking hot lately. That is his 8th home run of the season. It's a 2-run blast to begin the top of the 3rd, and it's 2-0 Houston. 10th home run given up by Gaviglio in just about 40 innings.
.89 miles an hour, probably middle away. Right on the barrel. 401 feet out in that area.
Strike 1 to Altuve. Gets ahead of Altuve 1-2. To Seager on a low skip. 1 down. We'll take a look now at the Mariners calendar, brought to you by Mattress Firm. The series wraps up tomorrow. Sunday day baseball from Safeco Field. Should be a beautiful day. Day off for the guys on Monday. The Phillies come to town for some interleague play. Tuesday and Wednesday, the Mariners will not be gone for long. Just a 3-day weekend series in Anaheim before the Mariners come back home to face the Royals and the A's. Make plans to be out at Safeco Field on July the 4th against Kansas City. 3:40 first pitch time that day.
A lot of home games for the Mariners to take advantage of that record. They played really well at home this year, 25-13.
Trying to build up a nice line of credit for the month of August, where the Mariners will be gone nearly the entire month. 0-2 quickly on Correa, who walked in the first. Three pitches on a tick to get Correa. Out number 2. Second strikeout tonight from Gaviglio. Well, time to take a look at our Geico This Date in Big League history. We go back to 1977, the inaugural season of the Mariners. Brewers beat the Mariners 7-1. That was at Old County Stadium. Astros beat the Giants in extras. Bob Watson hit for the cycle, the first to ever hit for the cycle in both leagues. John Olerud did that, by the way. Jose Cruz of the Astros, a walk-off doubled in the 11th. Weak ground ball, hopping over to Motter at first base. And that'll do it in the top of the 3rd, but 2 runs come in. 2-run homer by Josh Reddick as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Astros have the lead. Root Sports is brought to you by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. By CHI Franciscan Health, the Mariners' official partners in health. Learn to stay Northwest healthy at nwhealthy.org. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. On to the bottom of the third inning, the Astros have taken an early 2-0 lead. This Mariners offense, however, has averaged 8 runs a game over the 6-game winning streak. Just a perfect day to be outside and be inside Safeco Field. Bottom third due up for the Mariners. It begins with Jerron Dyson. McCullers has struck out 4 of the last 5 Mariners hitters that he's faced.
Dyson 2 for 5 last night. Couple of doubles for him. Been swinging the bat well lately.
Swinging the bat well and with some pop.
With some pop, but I think again the main thing is when he gets on the base paths, he causes so many problems for the pitcher, for the defense.
Right to Altuve. All-star second baseman makes the play easily for out number 1. For 7, sat down by McCullers. Taylor Motter, a late addition to the lineup as Danny Valencia was a scratch because a wrist injury that has been, safe to call it a nagging wrist injury for Valencia. He's been dealing with this for a while at this point.
Which is really too bad for the Mariners in their offense because Danny's been swinging the bat well. 4 hits last night. He's been hot for him.
Soft trickler. Bregman in stride. 2 outs. So we talked all about the curveballs and the strikeouts from McCullers, but as we see back-to-back ground ball outs here in the third, Mike, we cannot overlook the fact that Lance McCullers has the 2nd best ground ball rate in the major leagues. The only man better, his teammate right now, the disabled, is Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, when you look at that curveball and the downward action that it has, it'll be difficult to hit it in the air. It certainly makes a lot of sense. And he's showing a good 2-seamer at about 92, the 4-seamer at 96 at the top. But those 2 pitches, the 2-seamer and the curveball, difficult to hit him in the air. Typically, he's down at the bottom of the strike zone with it. Rock'em sock'em.
Everybody's got a nickname tonight up on the video board.
Yeah.
A+ Photoshop skills by the guys. McCullers, his ground ball rate has increased each year he's been in the big leagues. Two and 1. Ruiz was almost around for the Mariners' inaugural season, born in 1979. The 2-2. Strike 3 call. Curveball strikes again. Mariners baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. For all Toyota offers, go to buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Amtrak Cascades, what a beautiful way to travel. Visit AmtrakCascades.com. And by Country Financial, helping you set up your future. Or, pardon me, 2-0 Astros as we start the top of the fourth inning. Carlos Beltran to lead off the top of the fourth for the Astros. A single in the second. Turn back to clock night. Mariners have the shift on for Beltran. Now, Mike, there are people watching this right now who never stepped foot in the Kingdom. They were not alive when the Kingdom was around. When you think of the Kingdom, a place that was your home for many years, what is it that initially comes to mind?
I think there are a couple of things. First, I think about being a kid and going and watching the Mariners play, which was a lot of fun. But then, of course, you know, it was some of the best time I ever had playing the game was being a member of those Mariner teams that played over there. 93, 94, 95. Yeah. Great place to hit, too, by the way.
What was it like going inside the Kingdom on days like this in Seattle?
Well, what was strange is tomorrow was supposed to be another warm day, probably approaching 90 degrees. But you go in during the day games and you forget all about it because you're so used to playing at night, right? And then you come out after the game and the sun would still be out.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was always strange.
The 1-2. Ruiz calling off Gaviglio. 1 out. We mentioned last night Beltran, the only active position player to have played inside the Kingdom back in the Kansas City Royals days for Beltran. How about this monster home run for Beltran? Bartolo Colon, the only other player in the majors right now to have played inside the Kingdom. Still going at it. Strike one to Gurriel. This, by the way, the first inning as we are in the fourth where the leadoff hitter has not reached for the Astros. Quickly 0-2.
And it looks like Sam getting a better feel for his slider. Starting to find the outside corner with it. An important pitch, especially to the right-handers. One of the ways he'll be able to keep the ball on the ground.
A charge into center. Dyson looking over his head, and it is off the wall. Gurriel slides into second base. One on double for Gurriel.
That was on a fastball at the top of the zone in the middle of the plate at 89 miles an hour.
I hope to have you here at Safeco Field in the upcoming series against the Phillies. A midweek matinee under the sun on a Wednesday. Special 12:40 start time. Great seats for the series available by going to Mariners.com. Mariners saw the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park earlier this year, taking both games in Philadelphia. One out, a man at second for Bregman. Bregman wears number 2 as an honor for Derek Jeter, his favorite player growing up. The Astros were in New York earlier this season when Jeter's number was retired. and Bregman hit a grand slam that day. Nothing to 2. Traffic on the base paths each of the first 4 innings for the Astros. Bregman retired on 3 pitches, kind of looking at a fastball.
Yeah, quality fastball. Two-seamer, starts it off the plate away and runs it right back on the corner. So for Bregman, it appeared to him it was going to be off the plate, and you can see it run back. Some late movement on it.
Video trying to work around a 1-out double. First pitch on the way to Jake Marisnick.
For Sam too, one of the things he's doing in the first inning, again, he was very careful, a lot of breaking balls. He's starting to use his fastball a little bit more. Gave up the home run on the fastball. But I think for him to get through the rest of the season, he's going to have to be able to pitch away with his fastball to both left-handers and right-handers.
Here's 0-2. Haniger coasting underneath it. Puts it away into right field. Gurriel stranded at second base. The initial voyage for the Mariners, 1977. T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break takes us back to the Major League leaders in 1977. Rod Carew, his MVP season of 1977, hit .388. George Foster, 52 homers, nearly 150 RBIs. Steve Carlton, the leader in wins. Raleigh Fingers, another Hall of Famer, leader in saves.
Have a little better mustache than you.
Yeah, you're right. That one was unavailable at the store today. Segura, top of the order, leads it off for the Mariners.
Yeah, just the second time through the lineup. That was perfect so far.
Bell bottom Gene Segura up on Mariners vision. One and two. Seeing Rod Carew's name there, Mike, couldn't help but think we were just recently at Target Field.
Yeah.
And in the press dining room there at Target Field, they have enormous photos of old magazines featuring Twins players, some
on the covers.
On the covers, yeah. Some more recently, like Joe Mauer. Others from yesteryear, like Rod Carew. And there is a photograph, or they have the replica of the Time magazine cover with Rod Carew on it. And it's a posed photograph. Rod went into his studio. They took the time to do this. It was not just some AP photo they put on the cover. And it made me think, as we were eating dinner one night there at Target Field, how many baseball players have been on the cover of Time magazine?
Wow.
And that goes to show you how big of a deal Rod Carew was. A lifetime
great player.
328 hitter in 19 seasons.
I think it was might have been with the Angels, but I think it was the Twins. And I remember him hitting, and he had a red golf glove on.
Matched the uniform, right? But
Well,
it was
the batting gloves weren't such a big thing then, when he was first starting out and doing it. And
well, this
Hawk
must have come
Harrelson
after
was
Hawk.
the one that started. Yes,
Right.
It was after Hawk. Yeah, I was going to say it was after that. And Hawk, well, he used a golf glove. He did. Yeah, before they became with the batting gloves. And Rod Carew,
An early adopter.
I can see him. I believe it was a line drive that he had hit in the left field. Just some old footage that I saw of him. Bat laid down and just drive it the other way. He was also a tremendous bunter. Could really run. Yeah. Segura flew out to left field his first time up, but a couple of long at bats for him. This will be the 7th pitch in this at bat.
Down on strikes.
That is a tough breaking ball.
6 strikeouts. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners.
In that list, there, George Foster on there a couple times for the home runs and the RBIs. And I love the Cincinnati Reds. That was kind of my team. And I remember George Foster had the sideburns going. 52 home runs.
MVP season for Foster.
Yeah.
At 320 with 52 home runs, by the way. You know, for people who don't know the story about Hawk and the batting glove, I mean, this is really, you don't think about it, but there was once a time where there was not a batting glove.
Correct.
And then there was a time where there is a batting glove, and it's all because of Hawk Harrelson, who most people only know as the TV voice of the Chicago White Sox, but
very good player.
Take a look at his baseball reference page. But he was out one day. They were playing the Yankees, and Hawk was told the night before that he wouldn't be in the lineup the next day because of the opposing pitcher. And so he went out and he played what he made it sound like, Mike, about 8 hours of golf.
He was a very good golfer tour. I think he played on tour.
He did, yes. Yeah. And he got to the ballpark. He played so much golf that he developed a blister on one of his fingers. And when he gets in the clubhouse, he finds out that the other team decided to start a different pitcher, and it meant that Hawk was in the lineup. So he went back into his locker in the clubhouse, put on a red batting glove, or golf glove, I beg your pardon, and hit 2 home runs that day wearing a bright red golf glove.
There you have it.
The next day, the Yankees went out and bought about 100 red golf gloves, and they were all wearing them during batting practice, and thus the batting glove was born. Thank you, Hawk.
Yep. You can put it on the board. Ben Gamble, a 15-game hitting streak. The last pitch, a 3-2 curveball. This will be the 8th pitch. Good news. The way that he's throwing the baseball tonight, get his pitch count up.
Gurriel fields it smoothly at first base. McCullers covers. 2 outs. Well, what else was going on around the wide world of sports back in 1977? Raiders defeat the Vikings in Super Bowl 11. Blazers beat the 76ers for the NBA title. Reggie Jackson hit .450 in the World Series that year. 3 home runs in the series clincher. And UW won the Pac-8 football title. Rose Bowl over Michigan. Big year for Warren Moon. Ball 1 to Cano. First 11 in a row sat down by McCullers. Over half on strikeouts.
And that's Segura starts the game to fly out to left field. Reddick, the diving catch that he made on it. Everything else either a strikeout or a ground ball out from McCullers.
Gamble had ball 4. It was ruled a strike.
Right.
Later struck out. Pardon me, not Gamble, Haniger.
Haniger, yes. And Robbie trying to slow him down. Break up his rhythm.
To right center. Right in front of the warning track. George Springer is there. 12 up, 12 down, facing Lance McCullers. This game as we start at the top of the 5th. Well, all of us here at Root Sports would like to welcome Project Mutual telephone subscribers from Rupert, Idaho. Big thanks for rooting on the Mariners, and all of us here at Root Sports and the Mariners most certainly appreciate your support. Glad to have you with us here tonight as we start the top of the 5th inning, middle game of this 3-game series. Mariners and the Houston Astros. Mariners winning last night. A win tonight would be a come from behind win and a series win. Strike one to Springer.
He's been on base a couple of times, a walk, and then he had a base hit in the 3rd. Ended up scoring on the home run by Reddick.
Seager, a low pick. 1 out. Get ready for the first ever snow day at the ballpark. Friday, July 7th is Mariners Snow Globe Night, presented by Emirates Airline. First 20,000 fans will receive a snow globe of either the Kingdom or Safeco Field. Which one you'll receive is, of course, a surprise. You can visit mariners.com for tickets.
Watching Kyle feel that ground ball, it reminded me of a conversation I had with him in spring training. Basically the same question that I ask him every year. And he always gives me a different answer. But I asked him what he wanted to improve on over the winter and this year. Had a terrific year last year. And he said going to his left, fielding the ground ball to his left last year. Said it gave him a tough time, and he's worked hard on it, and he made it look easy right there.
I take it that was a surprise for you to find out that he thought that that was a weakness in his game.
Yeah, I mean, he's already won a Gold Glove. He's been an All-Star, but that's the way he felt. And I asked him about it, and he said the errors that he made last year, a lot of them were to the left, and he just felt that the way that he was approaching it and fielding it wasn't what he was used to, and he wanted to get back to it. And that basically got into some poor habits and wanted to clean it up, and he's been able to do that this year. He's been much better.
Reddick out to center field. Altuve coming up.
That is something that a lot of these guys at the end of the year, they'll have a meeting with the manager, and Scott will talk to them about some things, and Edgar probably will too, as the hitting coach, and what they want him to work on over the course of the winter. And sometimes the players will take it even a step further, self-evaluation on what they want to do, and try to figure out how they're going to go about it. It's different for everybody.
Altuve clubs the first pitch fair into the corner in left field. Altuve's only 2 hits in the series have been for extra bases. A home run last night, a 2-out double here in the 5th.
It's not a breaking ball. It's not a bad pitch. It's down out of the strike zone. You can see him reaching for it, but still able to dig it out and hit it down into the corner. That is on the barrel. We've seen that so much from him. It actually ends up on his right knee on his follow through. He's not as aggressive as he used to be, but still a pretty good bad ball hitter.
Already 21 doubles. Correa into center field, right to Dyson. Altuve is left stranded as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning on Turn Back the Clock night from Safeco Field.
I'm Glasgow with you from the Ford Sports Desk. How about a little hashtag Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Tara at the game tonight with her friend, turning back the clocks, loving the hats. Absolutely, everybody loving those caps here at Safeco Field. Merrick, beautiful day for baseball in Seattle. Isn't that the case? Enjoy your time here tonight. And Katie at the ball game with her friends, including Justin, who's at his first Mariner game. Hopefully all those folks are going to see a comeback as we send it upstairs to Aaron and Mike.
All right, well, welcome Justin, everybody else. First pitch missing to Nelson Cruz, leading off the home fifth. McCullers yet to allow a base runner.
He's had everything working. His fastball stopped out at 96 miles an hour. Seen a lot of 95s. His location has been excellent with it.
Bregman having to hurry up with a bare hand on the run, and Nelson Cruz is aboard.
They should give him an infield hit for that.
And they do.
Right off the outside corner. Little slow roller. Bregman doing everything that he can. This is not an easy play. You can see how deep he was playing, and why wouldn't he be with Nelson Cruz hitting? So a swinging bunt. Yeah, almost a change-up grip that he threw across the diamond.
And all of a sudden the tying run is at the plate. Kyle Seager. Seager a charge into center. Springer angling back. Marisnick making off the base of the wall. Cruz is making his way into third, and Kyle Seager stands up with a double.
We were talking about it earlier. With Haniger hitting on what would have been ball four, was called a strike. And he ended up striking out looking at a bat, but find a way to get him in the stretch to see if his stuff is the same. And you can see this off-speed pitch up out over the plate. The very first pitch that he throws in the stretch, and Kyle drives it out to center field. Kyle with a home run last night, and now a double. Mariners in a great situation, second and third, and nobody out.
McCullers sat down the first 12 in a row, now back-to-back base hits. Seager leading the pack with 18 doubles. First pitch to Mitch Haniger.
I didn't notice it, Aaron. Did you, that they were shifting on him his first time up?
I did not.
It's rare to see it with a right-handed hitter, but there it is, Altuve over on the left side of the infield.
Especially for a gap-to-gap guy like Haniger, but I suppose the thought is when he puts it on the ground, it's going to the left side.
Right. But he certainly has the ability to hit the ball the other way. We've seen that.
Haniger batting with the tying run at second base. Haniger 0 for 1 tonight. Since returning for the disabled, is on base 23 times in 12 games. Cruz at third, Seager at second. And nobody out. Time called. McCann and McCullers, quick visit. Take a look at our CenturyLink What's Next. Ariel Miranda has been fantastic by and large at home this season. Makes start number 16 on the year. We hit the airwaves at 12:30 with the pregame show here on Root Sports. Brad Peacock was supposed to start for the Astros have been put on paternity leave. Francis Martez recently called up. Hard throwing prospect for the Astros will start for Houston. The 2-2 and a full count.
Dyson waiting on deck. Patient at bat for Haniger. A couple of those pitches close, but he's able to take him for a ball and work the count back to full.
Cruz and Seager aboard. The 3-2 down on strikes. 7th strikeout for Lance McCullers.
We've seen this a couple of times tonight. Again, his curveball is his best pitch, and he goes right back to it. You can see the breaking ball at 87 miles an hour down out of the strike zone.
Dyson with 2 on and 1 out.
The infielders are playing back, so a ground ball would score a run. Bregman in on the grass at third, so is Gurriel at first.
Altuve thinking about it, now coming home. McCann charging after Cruz, and they get the tag on him.
Kyle will move up to third. Good choice. It's a heads-up play by Altuve. It's a firm ground ball, and Nelson not running well. The part of their scouting report. He ends up getting hung up. When he first saw it off the bat, Nelson started towards home. I knew he wasn't going to make it, so he tried to stop and get a little bit of a rundown, let the guys move up, which Kyle did to third. That's a heads-up play by Altuve.
Runners on the corners for Taylor Motter. You were a teammate of McCullers' father, right?
Yep.
Lance McCullers.
I was with the Yankees. Yep.
One-time major league reliever.
Had a good arm, good fastball.
How's his curve?
Did not have that curveball though. Taught him well.
McCullers just 23 years old. Pitching for the first time since June the 8th, activated from the disabled list. Seager at third, Dyson at first. The 1-1 to Motter. Makes it 1-2. Another punch out. The 8th through 5 innings as Lance McCullers strands runners on the corners. And the Rubik's Cube that is the McCullers curveball is not an easy one to solve. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by BNSF Railway, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. By Jack in the Box, come try the sweet or spicy barbecue bacon cheeseburger combo for $4.99, limited time only. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. On to the top of the 6th inning. Astros leading 2-0 courtesy of a 2-run homer by Josh Reddick out to center field in the 3rd inning.
And a missed opportunity for the Mariners in their offense, an area that they've really been good at, but 2nd and 3rd after the double by Seager, nobody out and they weren't able to score. There's a strikeout. Ground out to the 2nd baseman who was playing back, and Nelson not able to score on it. Still dealing with that calf injury, not running well.
An appeal, he does not go 1-1. Chance tomorrow we see the other catcher for the Astros, a guy who looks exactly like Brian McCann. That is Evan Gattis. They are nearly stepbrothers. I'm not seeing Gattis yet in this series.
That would make sense. Miranda going and Gattis a right-handed hitter.
Gattis, when he first came to the Astros, was strictly a DH, and then A.J. Hinch trying to find a way to get his bat in the lineup more, returning to his position that he had with the Braves behind home plate. Ruiz sheds the mask, makes the catch. 1 out. The Mariners Team Store Fan Dream Stakes contest is going on right now. When you stop by any of the 5 Mariners Team stores to sign up, you're automatically entered to win one of 10 great prizes, including authentic Mariners apparel, a photo with a player, or even the chance to throw out the first pitch. Stop by a Mariners Team store to enter. Some more spirited than others on Turn Back the Clock night. First pitch strike to Beltran.
I noticed that he ended up with that disco ball out of your garage, Aaron.
That's right from the rearview mirror. What are you talking about, Mike? Bounces in to make it 1-1. The Astros had the leadoff man reach in each of the first 3 innings tonight, but now the last 3 innings, including this one, the ability to be able to retire the first man.
And for Sam, it's something that we've seen a lot from him. He can make some pitches when he's in trouble. They've had a runner in scoring position in every inning, but the Astros are just 1 for 7. Unfortunately, the one hit was the home run by Reddick.
Full count. Gurriel on deck. One out walk. First walk since the first inning for the Astros. Wearing a seatbelt is your best defense in any crash. Please always buckle up. Help us all reach target zero. Learn more at wadrivezero.com. One out, one on. Facing Gurriel. A sock into center field. Dyson having just enough space. 2 outs.
I was just going to say Gurriel not originally in the lineup. Marwin Gonzalez was, and he was already 2 for 2 with the double and tried to hit this one out of the ballpark. Nice and up against the fence. Gets it back in quickly.
Two outs, a man at first base. That's Beltran. Alex Bregman climbs in. Looks at ball one. Off the hands, sky high. Again, Ruiz behind home handles it. Now runner left stranded as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Gaviglio just 2 runs over 6 frames. Back to 1977, the year it all began for the Mariners. The first series in Mariners history against the California Angels at the Kingdom. Mariners shut out the first 2 games. Nolan Ryan a complete game shutout in game 2. Larry Milborn's walk-off double led the Mariners to a win in game 3. As a 5-game series to open up the inaugural season for the Mariners. We right now go down to the Ford Sports Desk. Welcome in Bill Kruger. Now, Bill, you were inside the Kingdom. You were taking in one of those games as a fan.
Yes, I was. I was with my University of Portland baseball team. Came up for a trip, play Seattle U, and University of Puget Sound. One of our alums took us to the ball game, and I remember clearly going down and watching Nolan Ryan warm up. That's what sticks in my mind. Kind of unforgettable. And actually, it was just sort of like surreal to go inside and see a baseball game. I know everybody kind of thinks of that as old hat, but that was a pretty big deal at that time in 1977. I'd seen the Astrodome on TV, but it was really a novelty. And yep, I do remember, and it's so funny to think that at that point somebody would have came up and said, you know, you're going to pitch in the big leagues here in about 6 years. I'd have laughed at him. I wasn't even pitching then.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I was going there, and I remember being there in high school thinking the same thing. Bill, what do you remember about Nolan Ryan in the bullpen that you were watching?
Well, it just looked so easy, and this is just warming up, and the ball is just exploding at home plate, and we're all looking at each other going, no chance. As college hitters, and then he throws a few curveballs, and you know, we're seeing a Nolan Ryan type curveball tonight from Lance McCullers, but Ryan threw it hard like that, 85, 86. Of course, at that point, he's throwing 100 when he wants to.
Bill, that's good stuff. We appreciate the memories. Fun times there. No doubt about that. Ruiz the leadoff double. Segura ahead of the count 2-0.
And the good news, pitch count starting to get up there at 75 pitches now. They have a right-hander getting loose in the bullpen. Again, for McCullers, his first start coming off the disabled list. They were thinking 85 pitches.
Correa trying to stay with it. Runners on the corners.
And back-to-back hits.
Will Harris getting loose, and we'll be seeing Will Harris. That hit knocks McCullers out of the game. Harris, the right-hander, coming on to face Ben Gamble, a chance to extend his 15-game hitting streak. Mariners have nobody out, runners at first and third. Finally knocked Lance McCullers out of the ball game. He was, no surprise, sensational.
It was very good. Again, his average fastball this year has been 94, but he was hitting 96, able to locate on the outside corner. But it was the devastating curveball. That is his pitch. He throws it a lot, throws it more than his fastball. And it was working well for him tonight. See all the strikeouts, 7 strikeouts total for McCullers. But he is on a pitch count again. His first start since coming off the disabled list. That's good news for the Mariners. Hopefully they can take advantage of the bullpen. 5+ for him, 4 hits. Did not give up a run. He is responsible for the 2 base runners. Didn't walk anybody. 8 strikeouts, 76 pitches, 51 of those for strikes. Will Harris, he can be tough. A 2.10 ERA for him. In 30 innings, 36 strikeouts. Opponents hitting 191. He has a cutter at about 92 miles an hour and a curveball, but a lot of cut fastballs from Harris.
Only 4 walks. Segura at first, Ruiz at third. Check swing, he goes. Harris, an all-star last year, spent some time as the Astros closer for a brief period.
Ben trying to extend a 15-game hitting streak, 0 for 2. Strikeout swinging, grounded out to first his last time up.
Rarely do you welcome a change of scenery to face an all-star from a year prior
with a 2.1 ERA.
But it can't be worse, right? Oh, 2.
And after starting him with a curveball late on that fastball at 93 miles an hour.
Tony Zick loosening inside the bullpen. Gavidio, 6 strong innings, just 2 runs.
Not much of a lead for Gene. Thrown over there a couple of times. And he had the high ankle injury. Not quite 100%.
The 0-2. That looked close, and it was. Ruiz, the leadoff double. He's now at third. Segura at first. The 1-2. Gamble 0 for 3. Out number 1.
Another off-speed pitch. Looks like a 12-6 curveball at 81 miles an hour. The Mariners are now 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position as Ben swings right over the top of the curveball. Bring up Cano. Robbie 0 for 2. A ground out and a fly out to right.
Now Harris, a guy with some reverse splits. Left-handers are having a pretty tough time against him. Right-handers are actually hitting him better. That being said, he has not given up a home run to a left-handed bat. They're hitting 184. Left-handers are against Will Harris. Two on, 1 out for Cano. Goes after the first pitch.
Cut fastball, inner half.
The 0-1. A chopper past Gurriel into right field. Ruiz crosses home. Segura first to third, and Robinson Cano has put the Mariners on the board. And Segura, 90 feet from home, represents now the tying run.
Well, Robbie, the veteran, being aggressive in this at bat with 1 out. He knows he has to put the ball in play. You have to at least pick up that runner at third. He gets paid off with the base hit into right field. It's interesting watching Segura run. Going straight ahead. He looked like he had pretty good speed, but when he got to second base, he slowed it down to make the turn. So that ground ball through the right side really helped him to move all the way around now at third base with just the 1 out. So in other words, I think tagging up will not be a problem for him.
Cruz goes after the first pitch. Down to second for 1. On to first in time with a double play. That ends the inning abruptly, but a run crosses home for the Mariners. That was Ruiz following the leadoff double. The Mariners are on the board. As the Astros lead it by a run, but the Mariners on the board as we start the top of the 7th. MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live Mariners baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Mariners home screen icons and app features as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcast, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. New pitcher up on the mound for the Mariners. Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. Sam Gaviglio is done after 6 strong innings. And we say hello to Tony Zick.
This will be his 25th appearance, a 3-2 record, ERA just over 2. 17 strikeouts in 22 innings. Opponents hitting .211. Good fastball at 95 miles an hour. It's a 2-seamer, so it has some run to it and a hard slider. And Sam, this is kind of becoming his normal line. He's in trouble a lot, but seems to work his way around it. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned. That was the home run by Reddick. 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 83 pitches, 54 strikes for Sam. Nice outing for him. Really pitched well. Again, the #1 offense in the American League.
Gaviglio a cheerleader the rest of the night. Marisnick batting 9th with 10 home runs to his name this year. 0 for 2 tonight, however. Marisnick, we have seen a very good athlete, covers a ton of ground in center field, was a fine football player in high school. Even was recruited a little bit by Oregon as a tight end wide receiver type. The 1-1 makes it 1-2. Good slider. Cishek and Zepchinski. Down on strikes. Back-to-back sliders. Marisnick is retired.
And both of them just perfect. Right on the outside corner at the knees. We'll take a look at this last one.
One out for George Springer. Springer this season 4 home runs in 8 games against the Mariners. 21 homers altogether this season. Now 2-1. Past Seager into left field. 1 out base runner for the Astros. Here comes Scott Service. Zepchinski has been warming up in the bullpen. We have a call to the pen brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. Mark Zepchinski coming on here with 1 out and 1 on. 1977. Fans encouraged to dress in their 77 bests, and the top song that year, Tonight's the Night, Gonna Be Alright. Rod Stewart, top album, Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. 62 cents a gallon blow. $1.68 for a gallon of milk. The forever stamps at 13 cents a pop. Sign me up. Dow Jones Live 999. Well, we go from Zick to Zepchinski.
For Mark, a 2.93 ERA. Opponents hitting 185. 13 strikeouts and 15 and a third. Fastball 92 miles an hour with some sink to it. Slider and a changeup. Going to get Josh Reddick. Reddick, the offense for Houston tonight. 2-run home run. That was back in the 3rd inning. This is his 8th home run on the year.
Reddick has hit lefties well this year. All 7 of his home runs, however, have come against right-handers.
Zepchinski, good sinking fastball. He's going to try to get him to hit a ground ball to Robbie and get a double play to get out of it. If we take a look at the home run for Reddick, his 8th home run on the year. So now all 8 home runs off of right-handers.
Now, Zepchinski gave up just 1 home run all of last season, and it was the rarest of home runs for Zepchinski. It was a left-on-left home run, which is something that he's hardly done over the last few years, and it was to Kyle Seager. Ruled ball 2. One out. Springer at first base after the single into left. Zepchinski's 2-1. Reddick is taking first.
Catcher's interference.
Gotta be right.
Yes. And that'll bring out Scott Service, going to make a pitching change. Take a look at it, see if we can see it, but here's a look. Couldn't tell there. But here you can see him point right away.
So that is that. We've got another call to the bullpen with 2 on and 1 out here at the top of the 7th. 7th. 1 out and 2 on. New reliever coming on for the Mariners. A guy who was busy earlier tonight, Mike. Steve Cishek had taken over one of the cameras.
Is it focused? I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
That looks pretty good.
Pretty steady. Pazzo's coming over to make sure that lens is nice and clean. Good look at the stash. Thank you, James. Our Beacon Plumbing call to the pin. Cishek, the 3rd different pitcher this inning for the Mariners.
3.97 ERA. Opponents hitting 182 against him. 11 in the 3rd, 9 strikeouts, 3 walks. His last outing, his fastball was pretty good. It was right around 92 miles an hour, so still building up some arm strength, but a good fastball. Has a slider to go with it.
Ruiz given an error on the catcher's interference that puts Reddick at first. Springer is at second. Cishek facing Altuve. Strike 1. One for 3 tonight with a double. The 1-1. Just got a piece, fouls it back 1-2.
And Ruiz out to the mound. Into the game, the Astros hitting 284 as a team with runners in scoring position. It's been a real strength for them, but Pavilio was in trouble. We talked about it. Held him to a 1 for 7 tonight.
Springer at second base, Reddick at first. 1 out top of the 7th. Altuve thought about it. Strike 3 call. You can see why Altuve is frustrated. We do not see Altuve bark a whole lot, but he is hot to trot back to the dugout. Here comes A.J. Hinch.
He's angry now, but it's not going to help when he goes sees the replay. It was definitely down. Mariners will take it though. The breaking ball slider down out of the strike zone.
A much needed out number 2. I don't think I've ever seen Jose Altuve react that much.
Oh, I haven't. Never.
Two on, 2 outs for Correa.
We'll say this though. Mark Rippinger, the umpire, he missed that pitch right there. And a lot of times when you react like that and then you say some things like Altuve did, most of the time you're not going to be in the ball game anymore. But maybe he realized he missed it, so he was going to let him do his thing and not get him out of the ball game. That's the reason why AJ was coming out of the dugout to try to keep him from getting thrown out of the game. So I give Mark a lot of credit.
Off the plate, 1-1.
That one right there would usually get you out of the game.
Cishek behind, 2-1. Cishek trying to keep this game close. Gets away from Ruiz. Everybody staying put. 3-1.
Pitch in the dirt. Off the thumb of his glove. Fortunate that it stayed that close to him. Steve being really careful. 9 pitches, 4 strikes for good reasons. The best part of the lineup.
Altuve a little still fired up. Into right field in front of Haniger on a bounce. Bases are loaded. First hit tonight for Correa, reaching for the second time. Mailed out for a visit.
Yeah, quick visit. I'm going to make sure that they're all on the same page with the scouting report and what they want to do right here.
The Mariners and Boeing give a tip of the cap to our youngest fans with Salute to Kids Day on Sunday, July 9th versus the A's. All kids 14 and under score a Nelson Cruz t-shirt and are invited to run the bases post game. Just go to mariners.com to find your tickets. Bases loaded, 2 outs facing the left-handed batter Brian McCann.
Kyle Seager going to lead off in the bottom of the 7th. So Tony Sipp ready to go in the pen for Houston. Veteran left-hander. This is not the count that you want to be in this situation. Houston 397 as a team with the bases loaded this year, and a hitter's count for McCann.
It's a strike over to make it 2-1. Springer at third, Reddick the man at second, Correa now at first. Evens it up. And McCann not too pleased. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Cishek's 2-2. Clubbed right field. Haniger full steam ahead. Haniger laying out. Oh, you can't make the catch. Out of his glove. Everybody comes around to score for the Houston Astros.
That would have been one of the best catches we'd seen this year if he'd have been able to hang on to it. Unfortunately, when the ball was at the end of his glove and when he hit the ground, it jarred it out. But a tremendous effort by Haniger out in right field. And that's just before it was going to hit the ground.
Bases clearing double. An intentional walk to Beltran to face Gurriel. 3 runs in with 2 outs. Strike 1 to Gurriel. Mike, reading that ball off the bat, I really did not think that Haniger would have a chance to get there.
I didn't either, especially because the ball was hooking away from him too. But he has a lot of speed. He was. I really thought that when he dove, I thought it was going to get past him, and it ended up going on in his glove, which was a great effort on his part. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to hold on to it, but what an effort. And even as we were watching, we had a pretty good angle where we were at watching it. I still didn't think he was going to get there on his dive. This is right before it hits the ground. And you can see how far he was sliding too because of the speed and how hard he hit the ground. What a difference that would have been.
The result is 3 runs. But extraordinary effort by Haniger. 2 outs, 2 on, and the 2-2. That ends the inning. It's time to stretch here from Safeco Field. The Astros have now taken a 5-1 lead. What you can do with the win from Washington's lottery played today. Well, a gentleman that we have to introduce you to. Say hello to Chuck Boyle. Mike, Chuck has been a Mariners concessions vendor every year the franchise has been in existence, dating back to 1977 in the Kingdom. Chuck,
that's amazing.
You deserve a day off.
That's right. Good call, Aaron. How about Monday?
That's right. And that is the shirt that he wore. I mean, that is holding up pretty well. Going back to 77.
Not just that, it still fits.
Good point. Somebody buy something for that man. He deserves a sale. That was incredible. Chuck. Fine work. Familiar face, Mike.
Tony Sipp, 25 appearances, a 4.71 ERA, 18 strikeouts, over 10 walks. Points hitting just 205. He's given up a couple of home runs. Fastball right around 90, 91 miles an hour. Slider split to go with it.
Ball one to Seager. Sipp, the best ground ball pitcher out of the Astros bullpen. Kyle 1 for 2 tonight, a double back in the 5th inning. No shift on for Kyle. Break down the right side. Gurriel staying with it. A long flip to Sip covering. 1 up, 1 down for Mitch Haniger. How about those 1977 Houston Astros here on Turn Back the Clock night? Finish it even, Steven. Jose Cruz just a notch beneath 300. Joe Niekro, an ERA just over 3. Floyd Bannister, 4.04 ERA. Look there at the 77 Houston Astros. Got a pitching change. Sip faces the one man he is asked to, with Gregerson coming on to face the right-handed bat of Mitch Haniger. Into the bottom of the 7th. Are you the ultimate Northwest fan of the state of Idaho? You have 1 week left to submit a photo and story on our website at rootsports.com/ultimate-fan, and you could win a VIP trip to Seattle for the Mariners' ultimate weekend event in September, a personalized jersey, and much more. If you're not the lucky grand prize winner, you can still be part of the Ultimate Mariners weekend. For details, visit mariners.com/ultimate. Luke Gregerson, the new pitcher for the Astros, facing Mitch Haniger.
.31 appearances, 4.71 ERA, 34 strikeouts, and 28 2/3. Opponents make .257. He's given up 6 home runs this year, unusual. He has a pretty good sinker too, seeing fastball at around 90 miles an hour.
Most home runs of any Astros reliever this year.
Slider and a changeup. Pretty good slider right there on the outside corner. Dan Altavilla getting loose for the Mariners. Earth throwing right-hander. There's Dan. Mike Hampton.
Through the left side, that splits Correa and Bregman. Haniger aboard for the first time tonight. We normally don't wait till the 7th to see Mitch Haniger on base for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. Bring up Dyson. Grounded out to second, hit into a fielder's choice.
side. Altuve cuts it off, a short throw. 2 outs as Haniger pushes into second.
Let's see if Taylor Motter can drive in a run. And Danny Valencia originally in the lineup. It was a scratch, and Taylor ended up playing first base tonight. Hopefully Danny will be back out there tomorrow. He's really been swinging the bat well. Had 4 hits in last night's game.
Reached 4 times the game before that. A couple of hits and 2 walks. 2 outs, Haniger in scoring position for Motter. And that wrist has been bothering Valencia, and Scott Service has said a couple of times that he feels like that injured wrist in some ways has actually helped Danny.
I remember that. It's a tough month of April for him. Things really turned around, and thought maybe he wasn't overswinging anymore, tried to do too much, which I think probably part of it too is anytime you're a new player to an organization, you want to get out to a fast start, maybe trying to do a little too much. He finally settled in, but he has really swung the bat well in the last month and a half.
Tough slider to make it 0-2. Into left field, Reddick closing on it, and a carbon copy of the first inning. Second time we have seen Reddick do this tonight. And the lead. You know, Casey Candell, Mariners first base coach, was just a young boy in Lompoc, California in the 70s. And Casey told us what his memories of the 1970s are.
I really enjoyed black light posters. Those were my favorite. I had them all in my room, turn on the black light and just kind of trip out. But I also liked the tall shoes that men could wear because it may be about 6 feet. So that was really cool. I dug that. I actually had an afro, a perm, so that was cool. I would put it in cornrows every once in a while, but I thought I was pretty hip.
How do you feel looking back at those photos now?
Oh, I was thinking about growing my hair out again and getting another one.
Casey's the best.
Did you expect something different?
No. He's just the best. Dan Altavilla on the mound.
I did, by the way, as I heard that, I did Google Casey Candaele afro. I have not immediately found anything, Mike, but that's what inning breaks are for.
I like his posters. Oh, Casey.
Right to Seager. Bregman's counterpart throws him out for out number 1. Can we talk to Casey every day about something? I mean, that needs to be part of the broadcast.
He'd be happy to talk to you.
More than happy.
Yeah, he would.
Casey with cornrows. Sounds like a promo waiting to happen.
And black light posters.
The best. One out for Jake Marisnick.
Dan feels pretty good tonight. 98 miles an hour. Good slider at 87, 88.
Here's 0-2. Sears him off at 99 of the lower outside corner. Tune in tomorrow to watch a new episode of Mariners All Access. Get exclusive player interviews, behind the scenes footage, and Mariners stories you can't find anywhere else. If you missed tomorrow's episode, tune in for re-airs throughout the week on Root Sports. For your local programming schedule, visit rootsports.com. Now, Mike, we just saw that tight shot of Marisnick's face. I'm not sure what he was thinking, but all I'm thinking is that's 99 lower outside corner, and Altaville's not even the 8th inning guy.
What he's thinking is, yeah, I probably wouldn't have been able to do anything with that anyway.
I'll just take my seat.
Yeah. Left turn. Back to the dugout.
1-0 to Springer. Bins him back 2-0. Springer has reached base 3 times tonight. Fouls back 100.
What a slider at 89. You know, I was thinking they had the shot of the 100 miles per hour on the board that they have here in the ballpark to show everybody. And at one point, if that were to go up there, the place would go crazy. And now
it's a great point.
It's just, you see
oh,
it?
Yeah. Triple digits.
That's pretty good, I guess.
Nice Saturday night.
Yeah.
And yet, really, there aren't many guys who can hit 100.
Not 100, no.
And it's still not particularly common. Is there a big difference between 97 and 100, Mike? We split in hairs.
No, there's a difference, I think. I'm trying to think when I've seen 100. I think Billy Koch, Randy, maybe Troy Percival when he first came up. It's more common for the guys to see somebody in the upper 90s and 100, but no, there's a difference.
Playable to left center. Gamble puts it away with 2 hands. Altavilla, fine work, retires the side in order as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Sports Desk. How about a little hashtag where I root? We got some good stuff for you, including Alexis continuing her quest to see a Mariners game every month this season. We wish her the best in that pursuit here with her cousin. And Hillary has her baby here. Now that is the definition of cuteness. Just like Aaron's mustache as we send it upstairs.
How dare you, Tom? How dare you? It's so manly, doesn't even know what cute is. Mike, new pitcher for the Astros, Chris Davinsky, a guy with a pretty good changeup.
That's what I understand. Also a good fastball at 94 miles an hour and a slider. But basically, yes, he's known for his changeup. This will be his 30th appearance, ERA at 2.5. 61 strikeouts and 42 2/3. Opponents hitting just 160 against him. Pretty good numbers.
Ruiz a double and has scored the only run of this game so far for the Mariners. A.J. Hinch has almost created a new type of pitcher with Chris Davinsky. The roles in which he has been used this year. Even at one point this year, going out to work the 8th inning, pitching so well against the Angels that A.J. Hinch told Ken Giles, why don't you stay seated inside the bullpen? And Davinsky got a 6-out save. Clobbered foul. But Davinsky has basically dethroned Luke Gregerson as the 8th inning man. But also being used at whatever Hinch feels is the highest leverage of a game. Working multiple innings at times. Once again, the 2-2. Bregman in foul ground, approaching the wall. Can't make the catch.
There was an opportunity. I think he just wasn't sure where the wall was. You could see him reaching with his right hand. Might have even gone off the end of his glove. See if Carlos can catch in a base hit.
Ties him up. 1 down.
Just a good changeup. Yeah, 8-pitch at bat, but here's the changeup, 84 miles an hour.
Strike 1 to Segura. During spring training, the Astros weren't exactly sure what their rotation would look like come opening day because of injuries. Davinsky was somebody that at the time was being stretched out to be a starter if need be. To Bregman quickly. Vacuums it up. 2 down. We hope you can join us tomorrow here on Root Sports, or better yet at Safeco Field. 12:30 our first pitch time, or we are on the air at 12:30, I beg your pardon. 1:10 the first pitch against the Astros in the finale. Ariel Miranda starts for the Mariners. Francis Martez will get the start. Brad Peacock was the scheduled starter on paternity leave right now. Possibly the last chance for Gamble to extend his 15-game hitting streak.
Well, he has a good count. See if he challenges him with the fastball. His fastball's been 94, 95 miles an hour. He did not change up.
The 2-1 makes it 2-2. Looked foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes still. AJ Hinch tells the story of getting back from his morning run in spring training, getting back inside the clubhouse at 6:30 a.m. a day where Chris Davinsky was scheduled to start, and Davinsky was sitting at his locker in full uniform, scheduled to start at 1 o'clock that day for the Astros. And AJ looked at Chris and said, "Chris, what in the world are you doing?" And he said, "Skip, on days I start, I can't sleep. I'm too nervous. I got to get here." And at that moment, he picked up the phone, called Jeff Luno, the general manager, and said, I need this guy in the bullpen. Some guys in the bullpen take longer. Some take shorter periods of time to get loose. The rubber bands, the arm exercises. Call the bullpen. 10 seconds later, Davinsky's ready to go. And he has been one of the Astros' deadliest weapons this year.
This is a pretty good battle going on.
Bregman again out of room.
Was one of the foul balls that went over towards the dugout. James Clifford.
Mariners strength and conditioning coach, former star at UW.
Should be the 9th pitch.
It continues.
Pretty good fastball at 96.
Pitch number 10 to Gamble. Rolls 2 out, Altuve. Have not said this in a while. Ben Gamble 0 for 4. We go to the 9th. We go back to 1977. We've got to talk about the cruiser, Julio Cruz. You see him here inside the Spanish radio booth for the Mariners. Was part of that 1977 team. Mike, the next year he swiped 59 bags. 49 the next year, 45 in 1980, on and on from there.
Yeah, he brought a lot of energy to those ball clubs. Really good second baseman. I can remember him being at second base, and back then, of course, it was common for guys to try to take you out at second, and to watch Cruiser jump in the air to get out of the way. He would jump as high as you could possibly believe. It was amazing to watch him. Really good base stealer. It was neat to see him spring training. I think it wasn't this year. I think it was last year that he was down there helping the guys with some base stealing stuff and some punting and all the little things that he was so good at.
He was working so hard. He had more sweatpants than Dusty Baker during spring training. It was awesome. Guys loved having him around.
Yeah, he was great.
Always enjoy having him up in the press box. Reddick leading off the ninth for the Astros. Altavilla still out there. Seager tracking it well.
Giles getting loose. Hard throwing right-hander. Ken Giles.
One up, one down for Altuve. Looking at ball one. Pretty quiet night defensively for Robinson Cano. 2 up, 2 down. We're just talking about Julio Cruz in the 1977 Mariners, the inaugural season. Some of the guys from that team. Rupert Jones, Mariners All-Star, 24 home runs. Get Rupert out earlier this year on opening day. Leroy Stanton, 27 home runs, a career best. Dan Meyer, boy, what a head of hair Dan Meyer had. 22 home runs, a career high. 90 RBIs, career high as well. Glenn Abbott in the fold, 4.45 earned run average. Enrique Romo, 16 saves. Two outs for Correa. We're talking about being at the right place at the right time. Taylor Motter playing that perfectly. Signed, sat down in order. To face Ken Giles, Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, and then Kyle Seager. The meat of the order coming up. Mariners down to their final 3 outs.
Caps have been converted to rally caps. We'll see if it works for the Mariners. Have some work to do heading into the bottom of the ninth. Coming your way on Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. We break down what went right, what went wrong for the Mariners tonight. We'll head inside the clubhouse for reaction. Plus, we'll take you around the American League West to see how the rest of the division fared. No, by the way, the Oakland A's did something today that had not been done in baseball since 1914. We'll tell you about that and preview tomorrow's series finale with the Astros. That and more on Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines. We send it back up to Aaron and Mike.
Thank you, Tom. We take a look here at the Astros closer, Mike Giles.
30 appearances, 17 saves on the year. It's not a save opportunity for him. 36 strikeouts, over 9 walks, and 28 and a third. Opponents hitting .202. He's given up a couple of home runs. One of the better arms you will see is average fastball this year at 98 miles an hour, slider at 87.
Three outs to go. The Mariners need at least 4 runs. Baldwin and Cano at 100. We see it all the time, Mike. The opposite way. Reddick at the wall. Allowed out number 1.
Fastball off the plate away. I think Robbie had to reach for it just enough to where he wasn't able to get the barrel all the way to it. Right in front of the fence for Reddick. He's had a pretty good night defensively.
Sure has. A couple of diving catches. Also 2-run homer. One out, bases clean for Cruz. Well, Giles looking like he feels pretty warm here tonight. Springer, Marisnik off the base of the wall. Cruz gallops into second base. Mariners have a runner in scoring position. Now, first 2 guys with some authority against Giles. 1 out, 1 on.
Yeah, so far he's just going right at him with the fastball, and a couple of veteran hitters in Cano and now Cruz take advantage of the fastball. Even though he's going to be in the upper 90s and even touching 100. Nelson can hit anybody's fastball.
Runner at second base for Seager. Kyle gets ahead 2-0. Mariners only run tonight coming on an RBI single by Robinson Cano. That was in the 6th. This game made more difficult thanks to a bases clearing double by Brian McCann in the 7th. The ball that got out of Haniger's glove on a long ranging dive. Altuve to a knee. 2 outs. Cruz in at third base.
And speaking of Haniger, on his way up to home plate. And that was a great effort that he made on that
The ball actually in his glove, but then when the impact when he hit the ground, he wasn't able to hang on to it. But a great effort.
And it's part of the reason why there's some evidence, a better way to say, as to why we've heard Scott Service say that in a pinch he would feel very okay with Haniger in center field if need be. Covered all kinds of ground. Two outs, Cruz at third base, bottom of the ninth inning. Final game of the series tomorrow at 1:10. We are on the air at 12:30 here on Root Sports. Ariel Miranda for the Mariners. Slider off the plate, 2-1. Shift wants to get on for Haniger. Dyson on deck if Haniger can reach. Full count.
And that's top 100 at the top of the strike zone.
Channel the bell, baby. Envision it. Envision success.
It's at least the third time this inning for Giants. Haniger down to his final strike. Off the plate, Haniger reaching for the second time tonight. That time missing with 100. Haniger's now reached base 25 times in 13 games since coming off the disabled list.
It's such a good idea, the strike zone. It's rare to see him chase it all. He'll take his walks.
As we see. 2 on 2 outs to Rod Dyson at the plate. Maybe I'm just not remembering clearly, Mike. I remember Giles as a consistent 96, 98 guy, not a 99, 100 this many times.
I would agree with that.
Cruz at third, Haniger at first base. Still holding out hope here. 2 outs, down by 4 in the ninth.
"16 pitches, just 7 strikes." He's throwing hard, but not real good command. Get another base runner, and Taylor Meyer waiting on deck. Pretty good pop. Likes to hit the fastball.
A couple of grand slams under his belt already this year. Giles takes a big deep breath. 2 on 2 out to 3-1.
And so does A.J. Hinch. They're going to send up Mike Zunino. Why not? He's been a hot hitter this month. Mike with a 3-run home run yesterday.
We go back to last night.
His 10th home run on the year. He has 29 RBIs in the month. That leads the American League. Chance to add to it.
A grand slam here would tie the Mariners franchise record for most runs driven in a single month. It would also tie the game. You can see the numbers this month off the charts. 2 outs, bags packed for Zunino. Slider, strike one.
Yeah, pretty good breaking ball at 88 miles an hour.
The 0-1.
And a good take. There's a hard slider. Tough to lay off of it. Diaz getting loose in the Mariner pen.
You never know. Shift on for Zunino. 1-2.
Still hasn't seen a fastball. This is a slider at 88 right on the outside corner.
Two outs, bases loaded. Zunino down to his final strike. Giles, the 1-2. 2-2. Back-to-back 2-out walks. Haniger, then Dyson. That has given the Mariners life in the last of the ninth. The 2-2. Full count.
He's thrown him one fastball, and it was up and away, just wasting the heater. So he go back to the slider. 5 pitches, 4 sliders to Mike. Saw Ruiz waiting on deck.
As loud as the Kingdom, but they're into it here. Now here we go. The 3-2. Almost hit him. Takes ball 4. The Mariners grab a run. 3 straight walks from Ken Giles.
And it'll be up to Carlos Ruiz. Here's a fastball. It's really not that close. Up out of the strike zone. Really good at bat by Mike. He had to take a couple of really tough sliders. Borderline pitches. Didn't chase him. Was able to get the walk. Waiting for a pinch run. It looks like it'll be Heredia going to pinch. He's going to pinch run for Mike.
ready at first to tying run. Just missing for ball one.
He has really stayed away from his fastball, and again he's throwing 100 miles an hour. Breaking ball to start off.
These two former teammates in Philadelphia, Giles and Ruiz. The 1-1. Hard hit past Bregman's foul.
He turned around 98 miles an hour, hit it right on the button. Unfortunately, it was fouled by a couple of feet. He hit it hard too.
The 1-2. Ball game is over. Made it interesting.
They did. Give themselves a chance. Gaviglio threw the ball well tonight, going 6 innings, giving up the 2 runs. Just could not get enough offense going, which has been rare this month. They've really scored a lot of runs, but that just wasn't the case tonight, scoring the 2 runs.
Giles really struggling in the 9th, but holding on enough as the Astros claim game 2. A final score of 5-2 rubber game with Miranda up on the mound coming your way tomorrow at 1:10. Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines starts right now. Bill, Brad, take it away.
Gentlemen.